This game makes $160,000 a day. So I built my own version with AI in 4 days with a twist. So as you can see on the gameplay footage, this game has all features of a roguelike, auto-battler, combat system, chapters, waves, etc. The twist I've made compared to Cup Heroes, which makes a lot of money, is that in Cup Heroes, as you can see, is that you collect balls and then you use the amount collected to actually upgrade your perks in the roguelike feature. What we did is we replaced that with a dice roll to multiply and actually purchase better perks. And the crazy thing is, a week after we published our game, multiple publishers reached out to my game studio and said, how about we give you this paid per prototype agreement where you make us games every month and we pay you for it, whether they're successful or not, and if a game is successful, we will share revenue with you. Crazy, right? And on this video, I'm gonna show you exactly a step-by-step how I did it, how I built this full game, the mistakes I've made trying to utilize AI to build stuff, because I am an engineer and I was kind of skeptic whether it could actually build a full-fledged game. So you'll see the mistakes and how I solved them and how I was able to find a better workflow to build games with AI. These are the only 3 tools I've used to build the game I've shown: Unity, Claude Code, and a Unity MCP called CoPlay so that it can communicate with the editor. But before we start, just a quick context to share is, my name is Shafiq and I've worked for the biggest gaming and tech companies in the world, such as Voodoo, Facebook, Axie Infinity, and Immutable, and I've shipped games that reached hundreds of millions in revenue. So I've been part of games that also had billions in downloads. So I know what production quality looks like. And what I'm about to show you is not some sort of tutorial demo or a to-do app. It's an actual real game that's actually live on the App Store, and it gave me a lot of opportunities from there. So first thing I tried completely wrong. What I did was I gave AI Claude Code a full game design document and asked it to build the full game for me. And as you guessed it, it created slop, a game that doesn't even work. It couldn't solve itself. And I was like, maybe this is not gonna work out. Literally, my prompt was build this game based on the GDD. Terrible idea. AI chokes on massive context. What it's going to try to do is build everything at the same time, and then nothing works. It produced spaghetti code, game objects that made no sense, things flying around in the scene, etc. So the output was completely useless. So let me show you exactly how I prompted it. So what I did was, so I went on Visual Studio Code where my repository lives. I had a GDD file, as you can see here. It's full of details. And I said, build me this game based on the GDD, right? And it literally created the worst game possible. And this is what it came out with. As you can see, it doesn't make any sense. There's UI everywhere. So I stopped there and I started thinking, is this even possible? Can AI make games? I knew it can make apps and websites, but gaming is a different level of engineering because you had to handle the Unity editor, how to place objects, etc. And that's when I completely 180 degrees changed the way I thought about how AI can make games. And instead of me trying to be this vibe coder, like a high-level vibe coder, I decided to become an architect. I decided to become the manager of an orchestra where I say piece by piece what the AI needed to do. AI is now my builder, but it's going to build me task by task, just like we would do with any sprint meeting with any engineering team where we give them different tasks and they tackle one by one. So here's the architect method. So you don't give the AI the whole game. What you do is you give it pieces by pieces. And what I mean by that is, for example, I knew I had a character that had to move around. So what I did was, for example, I placed this character you guys see on the screen, and then I went to Claude and said, make the character move forward. So that would be a task. And then a task after that would be make the character use the walking animation when moving forward. That's another task. And what this does, as you can see here on my screen, is, of course, I've already prompted it, I've already built this, but I was showing you example of how to break down tasks into smaller pieces. As you can see now, there's going to be a character moving forward, but also having the walking animation, right? And that's how you would make it work. If you try to make the whole game and tell it, this is what the hero does, this is what the enemy does, you're just going to be stuck. So a next example would be on how to make a task is that we know our game based on our GDD that the character actually shoots arrows. So what you could do is add the shooting arrow mechanic to the character. When the character shoots, animate the shooting animation. And I got a lot of these animations from the asset stores, so I did not have to build them. So once you do that, the AI is going to find it very easy to go find the character object, the scripts, read the scripts, and then figure out how to add these small tasks, right? And what that would do is, as you can see in the game now, you will see when it gets to enemies now, it's gonna start shooting. So see, it attacks, right? So that's like very clearly well-defined workflow of building games. The next step for this game would be very simple, and we would say spawn enemies that attack the character, right? And now the enemies are going to start shooting at you. And then if you have a wave system, you're going to say, okay, now what I want you to do is create multiple waves of these enemies. When I kill these enemies, a new wave comes out, right? So that is very cool, and that's very important. That's how you should be making games with AI. You should be in control always. And once you have this whole game loop of the character shooting at enemies, enemies shooting back, whoever dies wins, and then you move to the next wave, you've actually built the whole core loop of the game. What is the next step, right? The next step would be to start building win screens, lose screens, building more chapters, more levels, etc. And on this game specifically, we have a middle section between the combats and the waves. So what we did is we had to build a dice rolling system. And again, because the whole loop is working now, I could literally here prompt it to say, between waves of enemies at a state where a player can roll a dice, right? And that would implement it. And I can guarantee it, if you try it, it will work if you break down your tasks properly. As you can see now, we have this dice rolling, and when we tap on it, it rolls a dice, right? For now, of course, it's more of a completed game, but you would roll dice, and then once you roll dice, you will ask it, give gems when a dice is rolled, multiply the gems, etc. So it needs to be this deep level of breaking down tasks. You shouldn't YOLO into building a full game. You should literally just build piece by piece. For example, here where we get the skills or the buff system, like from a roguelike system, we implemented this at the end. Once we had all the core loop working, we're like, okay, between waves, now I want you to spawn some sort of roguelike skills that a user can choose from, right? And spend their gems on. And again, that would be the same thing. Here you go and prompt that task. So after you have like a core game loop, what do you do next is very important. Gaming is all about feel and juiciness. Are people enjoying the damage taken, the animations happening at the same time? And this technique I did was I bought some asset store from Unity, which they're very cheap. Some of them are like $15, $20, which has animations, VFX, damage taking, vibrations, etc. And then once I do that, I add them to my project. And here's a tip that you should do also is you add the packages to your repository, and then you tell the AI, make use of the, for example, the feel package, which is a nice vibrations package that we use, and add juice to the game, specifically when player or enemies take damage. Example, a camera screen shake, right? So now it's going to utilize assets you bought to actually do them for you. You don't have to rebuild or reinvent the wheel. The Unity Asset Store has a lot of crazy stuff you can use. So it will go through, read all the projects, the assets, and utilize them. That's the same thing for UI, art, sounds, etc. So that's how I did it. That's how I added this. For example, let me show you very quickly. For example, when you hit the enemy, there's this number that pops up and the enemy is actually turning a little white and vibrating. All of that was made with an external package, but if I had to do it manually, it would have taken me a lot of time. So I decided to just use a package that exists and tell the AI to utilize it, right? For example, the animations, etc. I just say, use this do tween package, blah, blah, blah. So now I think you get the gist of it, of how to actually utilize AI to make games. It's not to prompt a game into existence, but it's actually a step-by-step process where you are the architect. You're still having fun making games. And this is very important, right? We all love making games out of passion. And if you just remove that by just 2 prompts, then I don't think it's going to be fun making games anymore. So what I'm trying to say is, when I'm building these games with AI, what matters to me now is the creative part, right? Like, I just tell it what to do exactly like I want it to and iterate on it. So the next prompt I made, which feels very natural, because when you're building a game, you want to go very fast, and sometimes you don't look at the quality of the code base, etc. The last step would be to ask, can you refactor the repository so that it is made by someone that works at the biggest gaming companies, respect some of the gaming standards. And what it did for me, it actually refactored everything, right? It made scripts shorter, it made a lot of things cleaner so that anyone else that wants to jump in on this project can. Of course, I'm going to cancel it, but these are just steps I'm sharing with you and tips that I've used that actually worked out for me. AI isn't just fast, it can actually write clean code if you ask it the right way. You're the architect, the AI is just the executioner. It executes whatever you tell it. Don't ask it to build the whole game. Split the task into 20 different tasks and just keep working and moving forward by just sharing that with the AI. So this is Dice Rush, a game that was built in 4 days with AI and trying to reference a lot of what the $160,000 game makes, Cup Heroes, right? That game has hundreds of engineers and artists and designers working on it. And we were able to get at least to an MVP version of it in 4 days. So right now it is in testing with a few publishers, etc., etc. So if it hits the right numbers, then this game could actually be built even better with AI, with a bigger team, etc. Literally, these types of games usually take around 4 weeks to get the roguelike systems to work properly. And my team, personally, we take a month to make a game. And with AI now, it's actually taking us way faster. It's 10x faster what we used to deliver, which is crazy to a business, right? If you're a solo developer or if you're an indie studio, you don't want to burn money building things that may not work. In the gaming industry, you need to build very quickly, kill games that do not work, and work on newer games. Engineers will not be replaced with AI, but they will be enhanced to build cooler stuff, right? And just work on the creative stuff instead of actually, repeating the code that you've been building over and over and over again. And what's crazy is I built this game with AI in 4 days, and once it went live, a week later, multiple publishers reached out to start working with my game studio, right? If you're there thinking of how can I start a gaming studio or a gaming company or an indie studio, how do I work with publishers? Just get something out there, right? Build it very quickly with AI. These publishers are going to reach out because they will see potential in you, where they will start working with you, start paying you to build games, which is one of the coolest jobs you could have. The deal usually these mobile gaming publishers give is that you prototype every month for them multiple games, and each game they pay you, for example, 3 to 4K per prototype. If the game is successful, you guys share revenue. For example, it could be 40-60 for you, 40 for them, 60, but they'll spend most of the money on the UA. They'll help you improve the game, integrate live ops, etc. I think it's a very good deal. Just think about it. For me, a few months ago, it used to take us a month to build one game. So even if we do the paid per prototype, we would be getting paid, for example, 3 to 4K. But now that we can build with AI, we could build way more games, make more money so that we could survive longer as a game studio, but also have a higher chance of hitting that luck. Making games is lucky, right? Like if you're lucky, you're gonna make a hit game. It could come after the second game, it could come after the 100th, it could come after the 200th game. But now I'm leveraging this technology so that I can actually increase my chances of hitting that jackpot. So if you want to see me go deeper into exactly how go from an idea to an actual game that goes on the App Store live, being tested with publishers, etc., feel free to put a comment below and I'll make sure to make this full tutorial. If enough people want it, I'll make it. So subscribe if you want to follow this journey and learn a lot about how to utilize AI, etc., to build games faster and better, but also how to make money with games, which is very important. I know a lot of us make games out of passion, but at the end of the day, we also need to make money.